Hi, I'm Jonathan Fuhrman with the Michigan Depression Glass Society. I'd like to welcome you to tonight's program, which is on how to mix and match your glassware. I'm joined by our Vice President, Susan Muldowney. Thanks for having this beautiful table for me tonight, Sue. I'm really looking forward to having dinner with you.
It really is nice when you don't have to do the work.
Yeah. So the program tonight is about mixing and matching glass, and one of the things I found is that when I first started collecting about 20 years ago, I was really focused on collecting everything in one particular pattern and setting a table with everything in that pattern. And over time, as I got to see things in Martha Stewart Living and other magazines and stuff like that, and I also met Sue through the Glass Club, who I consider to be the queen of mix and match and also the queen of layering. I got inspired to kind of do some different things and mix and match my glassware. So in a little bit I'm going to take you back to my house to show some different place settings and vignettes I've come up with for how you can mix and match glass. But since I was coming over to Sue's tonight, I know she was going to be setting this fabulous table, I thought I could talk to her first. So Sue, I know this is the moonstone pattern that you have here.
That is correct.
And I think, if I'm correct, that one of the issues that I find with a lot of the patterns I collect is that they didn't make a dinner plate. Is that true of this pattern?
That is true.
Okay, so what do you have here as our dinner plate tonight?
That is the silver or sandwich plate.
Okay.
It has a ruffled edge, but don't let that stop you. It still makes a lovely dinner plate. It is about the appropriate size for a dinner plate.
Okay.
And then underneath, I paired it with a frosted looking charger that I purchased from Pier 1 before they went out of business. So again, you don't have to be a purist. Everything doesn't have to be the same pattern. You can mix and match depression glass with newer pieces.
And then I like the variety here because you have that scallop plate, and then this is still the same pattern but smooth, so you get a little bit of texture and visual interest. And then it looks like on top of that we have a sterling silver plate actually.
Yes, silver
plate to kind of add a little interest, and then these adorable little name plates here that kind of stacked on top, which is really fun.
And then the silver plate bread and butter matches. If any of you saw the silver plate presentation that I did, it matches my silverware pattern, which is also an antique. It's just obviously not depression glass.
Right. Now with this pattern, I think I know in Moonstone, I think there's like one water glass, and I know here you have, these are actually Fenton, these are probably a wine, which I know isn't that practical. This is more for like a dessert, maybe a port or something like that.
Yes.
But I see here, again, because you don't have, I mean, they didn't make a bunch of different stoneware in this pattern, and if you wanted to have a wine pairing dinner like we're having tonight, you have to come up with other things.
Lots of pieces.
Yep, so what do you have here for us?
This is actually a pattern. It's made by Rogaska, which I understand took over the stemware for Waterford when Waterford went out of business and then came back online. Rogaska is from the Czech Republic. This is a pattern. They only made a few patterns. This pattern is called Galia. It is, I guess you could call it, almost antique. It was made in the early 80s, so 40 plus years old. And they made lots of pieces for this. There's white wine, there's waters, there are hot glasses, I have brandy snifters, I have champagne flutes, I have cordials, I have Tom Collins or large tumblers. And then I also paired it with some silver goblets that I purchased, some online, some at antique stores. And we are using this actually tonight, the small wine glass, for dessert. We're having a triple gelato. It's an Italian themed meal, and we're having triple gelato for our dessert tonight.
Great. And also looks like you have some silver plate goblets here as well.
Yes.
Yep.
Those are recent.
Okay.
Recent purchases.
Well, that's the great thing about mixing, old with new, recent purchases with older.
Yes.
So, and the other thing I really like too is your centerpiece here. This kind of is reminiscent. Cambridge made this really cool thing where there's a bunch of different it's layers and things that stack together, and there's some floral pieces to it. They're very, very rare. They probably cost $1,000, and I love how the different heights of candlesticks you have here too.
These are from Home Goods.
Okay.
My favorite store, or second favorite. eBay is my first.
Okay.
Interesting about that is these are actually perfume bottles.
Oh, fun.
And they have the glass stopper with the little glass wand that you would dip in and get your perfume. But I, again, use them for another purpose. took out the stoppers, put a little
Yeah.
water in them, and they hold just a single stem of flowers.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I also just got to point out here, to make the dinner complete, there is the tasting and pairing menu. So for each course, we have what we're going to be eating along with the wine. So that's really fun to just kind of add a nice touch
And the
to
Depression
evening.
era.
Oh yeah, I didn't miss the
salt
salt dip
cellars.
here. And not only that, but the teeny tiny
Those are
little spoons.
that's the only silver plate or silver sterling that I have
Okay.
because that's all I can afford.
Yeah, this is adorable. So thank you so much for sharing this with us tonight. I'm
Oh,
really looking forward to
we have to
dining.
add
Oh yeah,
this.
we have dessert. set
Yes,
here
and as
too.
Jonathan said, this is actually Fostoria hobnail, and it's very similar to the moonstone.
It's Fenton hobnail.
I'm sorry, Fenton
Yep.
hobnail. It's very similar to the moonstone, so obviously you can mix and match. Matter of fact, sometimes it's hard to tell if you're not knowledgeable like me. It's hard to tell which is which. But this is the rarer square pattern. Even the cups, the coffee cups are square. And we are going to use those tonight for some espresso, and the gelato is going to go on that.
Awesome. And that's a great use here. We're talking about mixing and matching, but also using pieces for unintentional purposes.
Yep,
I mean,
yep.
you go to a modern restaurant today and you probably would get a couple scoops of gelato on like a plate.
Yep.
So it's fun to see that you can use glass. You don't have to put it in a sherbet. You can use a plate or something of that nature. So
Right.
thank you so much. We're going to wrap this up so we can get
Okay.
eating, and I'll take you back to my place
What
in
do
a
you
little
mean,
bit.
eating?
Eating and drinking, okay. I'll take you back to my place in a little bit, and I'll talk about some other pairings with some of the glassware patterns that I have. So we're in my dining room, and what I've done is I've set up 6 different place settings of how I mix and match some of my glassware. And you'll find that when I talk about these, there's really 2 reasons that I tend to do this primarily. The first is that it's fun to do. It adds more visual interest to a table setting. And the second thing is that a lot of times I don't necessarily have all the pieces I need to do a full dinnerware service. So if a pattern is missing a dinner plate, or maybe I don't have the coordinating stemware, it really allows me to expand my set when I don't have all the pieces in that particular color or pattern. So the first setting I have here is actually using my stretch glass collection. So I have that in a variety of pastel colors. And one of the things about stretch glass is that they did not make a dinner plate in stretch glass. So there's only a luncheon plate. So on the place setting here, I have, just to kind of extend things a little bit, I have this cute little bunny plate that I got at Home Goods, and I'm layering a Fenton Topaz stretch plate on top of that. So what that really does is, you can see from the place setting here, I'm adding a lot of visual interest because what I'm doing is I'm pulling from the various colors of the dinner plate with my stretch glass. And then I'm also rounding out the place setting here with some really fun iridescent flatware that I got to really kind of bring those colors out and make them pop. Now, the next setting I have here is a pattern of Limoges china that I got at a thrift store. And it's really pretty. It's got a lot of nice flowers on it in various colors. And I'm sure this would look great with some crystal stemware or something of one color, but what I really wanted to do was try to bring out the different colors of the flowers. So you'll see here in this place setting what I've done is I've taken a purple Cambridge water goblet and then a forest green goblet also in Cambridge, and then I'm mixing another company in here. I'm using the Fostoria Trojan etching in topaz, and that's really kind of bringing in all the different colors from the plate. The only thing that I am missing that I would really like to add one day is that you don't really see like a tangerine or an orange color very much in Depression glass, and Heisey made a really, really pretty color called tangerine, and that would really make these orange flowers pop. Unfortunately, I don't have any of that, and it's pretty expensive, so I don't know that I ever will find any, but if I did, that would really make this place setting, in my opinion, complete. Now, the last setting I have here on this side is the Cambridge etching. It's known as Gloria, and it's on their forest green color. And it's incredibly hard to find in this particular color. You usually see it in crystal, a little bit of yellow maybe. And this is an example here where I only have a luncheon set of it. I don't have anything else. Yes, they probably made dinner plates, but they are going to be insanely expensive. And so I have a really simple, I think this was like a $4 dinner plate from IKEA. And I've got a really nice, fun wood charger on it to kind of pull out some of this little bit of a forest theme going on there. And then in this particular pattern, in this particular color, I do have some stemware in forest green that I could use. Again, I don't have anything with the Gloria etching on it. It's just way too expensive and way too rare for me to acquire. So even though I could use the forest green here, what I've done is I have the Cambridge amber stemware. And what I like about this is that, I don't know, just for me, the two colors kind of mix together kind of enhance that forest look. I have the wood charger. I mean, I think if I'm in a forest, I see a lot of trees, so that's going to be a lot of brown tones and a lot of green, and to me those just kind of go really well together. And the other thing too, when possible, I have some flatware here that has a little bit of a floral pattern on it, so again, just kind of reinforcing those forest and those floral themes. So moving on to this side of the table, this is the dogwood pattern by the Macbeth Evans Glass Company, and it was made between 1929 and 1932. And the pink color is actually the first pattern I started collecting about 20 years ago. And it comes in two colors. It comes in this nice green as well as the pink. And I primarily do have the set of pink, but I do have a few green accent pieces. And again, in this particular pattern, there's a full dinnerware service in pink, but in green, there's really only like a breakfast set. There's luncheon plates, there's cereal bowls, cups and saucers. There's no dinner plate made. So if you wanted to have a dinnerware service again and you were using the green, you'd want to mix and match. But I just like it in this instance for visual interest because of the pink and green, and especially what I like to do is put the green underneath the pink. So think of like how you'd have a leaf and a rosebud or a leaf and an apple blossom bud. So kind of the green being the base color and then the pink on top. I think that looks really, really nice. So this is a really, really fun piece here. I actually got these from my friend Jennifer, who's a member of the club, as a birthday gift this year. And they are a Cambridge asparagus plate. And yes, you can see here there is a actual like bouquet, for lack of better terms, of asparagus. And on either side here is a little well for a hollandaise sauce. So it's a really, really fun piece to have. There's not a whole asparagus set, it's just that one plate. So I was trying to figure out what I could do, because I definitely want to use these, because I have a set of 6 of them. But if I wanted to use them for a dinner party, I'm not just going to serve like asparagus and nothing else. So in this instance, what I did is I took a Cremex, this is actually a 12-inch silver, and it's in the Cremex pattern by Macbeth Evans. They came in 4 different pastel banded colors, so there's pink, green, blue, and yellow. And I have that layered on top here, and it's just like the perfect size. The plate fits right centered within that border and really fills it out. And then to just kind of round out the place setting here, I have some stemware in the forest green color by Cambridge. Again, this could have gone with the Gloria set I talked about a little bit ago, but I'm using it in here just so I have an all green place setting. And I'm kind of sticking with that Cambridge theme for the most part, aside from the Macbeth Evans. Now, the last place setting I have here is my absolute favorite pattern. It's the Candlelight etching by the Cambridge Glass Company. And what you'll see here is that I've accented things by offsetting them with this deep cobalt plate. And this is great not only for the candlelight etching, but really any glassware pattern that you have that's a crystal etch. If you put it, whether it's a cobalt plate, whether it's amethyst, a deep red, any dark color really sets off an etching very, very nicely, as you can see from here. And since I set this table to kind of do this demonstration, the candlelight etching on the goblets doesn't show up as well as I would like, but one thing that I would definitely recommend doing is if you have a nice dark tablecloth and put your etching in front of that, or actually on the table it'll be on top of it, it really sets it off and really allows it to kind of pop. Now, the other interesting thing about this place setting is that a couple glassware companies and elegant glass companies like Cambridge actually partnered with silversmiths, and in this particular candlelight pattern, there actually is a matching flatware line made by the Toll Company. And you can see at the place setting here, there's some couple pieces here of the flatware that's got just a little bit of the scroll work from the pattern, but what's really, really cool is I have a piece here. It's actually a cream pitcher, and you can see that there is this nice little scroll work design and a little bit of floral work and columns that match exactly the candlelight pattern. The only thing that's missing is that there would, instead of a candle in the middle here, it's just plain, and the reason that would be is that these were intended to be monogrammed, so you wouldn't want to have the full pattern there because that wouldn't allow for your monogram to take place. So really, really fun pattern. And the other thing that you'll see I've done on this particular place setting and a few of the others is I've used a couple chargers here and there to really kind of, again, add that visual interest and that pop. And the really cool thing about this particular charger is it's got those scalloped edges that really kind of reinforce the shape of the dinnerware line. So in this particular pattern, this is the 3400 line that the candlelight was etched on. It was actually etched on 2 different lines. So in 3400, there is not a dinner plate. So it is absolute necessity that if you wanted to serve dinner, you would do this kind of cobalt plate underneath, Whereas the 3900 line did come with dinner plates, although they are incredibly rare and hard to find. So even if you collected that particular line, you still might end up doing some other kind of plate. And again, here I've done the 3400 line plate underneath the 3400 line etching, but don't feel restricted by that. I mean, if you find some really nice cobalt plates that are maybe by Hayden City or another glass company, there's nothing wrong with mixing and matching to really create the ultimate table setting that really shows off your glassware in your collection. So I hope you'd enjoyed this demonstration that I've shown here of kind of some different ways of mixing and matching things. And as I always say, the most important thing is to actually use your glassware, get it out, have a dinner party, and really appreciate it. Set a beautiful table, have some friends over, and enjoy.